Hey everyone, your designers are here.
I'm Anita from Cedar Hill Farmhouse.
And I'm Yvonne at Stone Gable.
And I'm Kelly at My Soulful Home.
We have tips and tricks and decorating advice for you. So let's get started.
This is episode 45, Things to Splurge On.
Well,
So
that sounds really nice. I would like to get permission to splurge.
I know, we're always talking about how to budget and do things on the cheap.
So now I want to hear about what you girls might splurge on.
Oh, yes. Well,
Go for it, Anita.
Well, I was just going to say, when I say splurge, I don't mean just spend, the sky's the limit, that sort of a thing. But what I'm saying is there's some things that if it's a little bit more, I'm willing to pay more to get this particular thing. And so I don't get the cheap version of it. But it doesn't mean that I don't shop around and try to find it for the best price. So I think that I just wanted to clarify what I'm talking about when I say splurge on these things. And so, I think it's also one of these cases, there's so many things with decorating, there's no one right way to do it. So there's certain things I like to splurge on, and some that Kelly and some that Yvonne like to splurge on. So, we're just kind of sharing our ideas and, not necessarily to say that everyone has to do it this way. So
Yeah, agreed. I think I know what we're talking about, and we have a little bit of different take on it. But when we say splurge, it's something that you should put your money into because it's going to last longer, or it's going to be more comfortable,
Or the quality is so much better.
Or the lesser version really just isn't even close in
And
quality.
I think of that as, what do I want to invest in?
Right. More investment pieces. Exactly.
But it's fun to think of splurging.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a fun word. Splurge is a fun word. Budget is not a fun word.
No, it is not. And some days it is banned around here.
Well, but unless you budget and at the end have a lot you can splurge on.
Yes.
Ooh,
but the
there
way
you
you can
go.
splurge
Oh,
on it
wow.
is, again, shop around to find the best price on these items. But okay, so one of my favorite things, my style is farmhouse French. So something I personally love to splurge on are these old altar or old church candlesticks. That can be brass, or the wood ones are so expensive. So I usually buy the brass ones. They're still a couple $100, so they're not a cheap item. But maybe you can even find some reproduction ones that are beautiful. You don't have to get the real ones, but I'm just saying this is, the more expensive reproduction ones really do have a gorgeous look to them. So that's something.
And
I like
Anita,
to
where
splurge
would
on.
you use these?
Well, I use them in vignettes on my tables, on my fireplace. Some of them are really large. But on tables, really about anywhere that you would use candlesticks. And I have a huge one by my tub. So
I think I've seen that in some of your pictures.
Yeah, so you can put them anywhere. And let me just say where you could get them, because they, obviously you can't just drive around the corner to find these. You can get them on Etsy and eBay. I know that's available, pretty much wherever you are. You can find those. So that's
so pretty.
Yeah, so you don't really even need an antique store near you, and that's going to be the way that you're really going to have the best selection. So there you go. How about
my
you, Yvonne?
splurge items
Or Kelly?
Kelly, go ahead.
Okay, my splurge items are a little bit more practical, I guess.
That's okay.
Is it because you're redoing your entire home?
I don't know, but because if I'm going to invest in something, it's going to be something that I really want to use a lot, and it's going to last for a long time, or I really want to make sure it makes me or my family comfortable. So that's kind of the category that I'm thinking of.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's good.
Sheets. I was never an expensive sheets girl until, honestly, I was given a pair of sheets for a blog, by a brand to do some blog posts on it, and wow, big difference. So, I know we have a whole episode that I'll refer you all back to in the show notes, all about bedding and sheets and whatnot, and we go through all the categories, and we tell you about Egyptian cotton and all that good stuff. So I'm not going to repeat that here. My suggestion would be, if you've got, some money in your budget, to maybe not even calling, I guess it is a splurge, but it's so worth it.
It's an
because you're going to get a
investment.
better night's sleep. And what would you pay for? Everybody would want a better night's sleep. So that's definitely where I would put some extra money if I had it.
And Kelly, do you know, I just heard this like little tidbit over the weekend. The average person spends 23 years of their life sleeping.
Well, yeah, it's a third of your life.
Wow, Rip
believe
Van
it?
Winkle, I had no idea. That seems crazy.
I know.
But I guess it makes sense, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'll tell you my splurge. I think you should splurge or invest, is a better word, on a good sofa.
I agree.
Oh, yeah.
Because you sit on that sofa day in and day out, and people use that sofa
Are
day
you calling
in
us
and day
couch
out.
potatoes?
No, you two are not couch potatoes, that's for sure. But I think that you do get what you pay for, and I think it's worth it. And here's, my mantra is only spend as much as many years you're willing to have something. And they say the average sofa should last about 7 years. Now, I know my mother's is 25 years old, and it looks great, and we use it all the time.
But is it still comfortable?
Yeah, it's pretty good. But I just keep thinking, Mom says, maybe I'll get it recovered. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, I don't know. I don't think I would spend all that money to have something that's that old. And we have a wonderful sofa episode, and it is hysterical. If I'm feeling down and I want a good laugh, I laugh every time I hear this episode. Anita does the most, Nita Jean does the most wonderful impression of her mom and tells some hysterical stories. But that's what I put my money into. And if I were buying a sofa, I would look for a down wrapped and then some kind of a foam core.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I mean, you're on your sofa, you're sitting on your sofa a lot, so that's really something. If you have an uncomfortable sofa, that's that's going to be awful because you're going to be sitting on it a lot. It's not like some
All
chair
the
that you hardly
time.
ever sit
That's
on.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's not an accent chair.
Right. I mean, so that's really, I think, those are really good. So my splurge items are kind of less practical than the ones that you have both been mentioning. So another one I have are lamps. And I know that Kelly and I have a little difference of opinion, and that's kind of, we just have different
And I do
decorating
too,
styles.
Anita.
Right. So I like to splurge on lamps because my particular style, the French farmhouse, unfortunately, the lamps that really go with that style are really expensive.
It has everything to do with your style.
I think that's why. Right. And so the less expensive lamps may work very well in some other style, but the kind of the faux, they just don't work so well with this particular style, and that's why I do end up spending a lot on lamps. But it just kind of depends on your style, and if I can find something, and sometimes I find a vintage lamp at a steal, and it looks fantastic. So
Or do what Kelly does, spray paint it.
Love that.
She
space.
spray
that's
paints
right.
everything. But Anita, you're so good with the paintbrush doing faux finishes. I bet you could find so many things that you could faux finish and then make it into a lamp.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, my lamp making skills
But
are
she
rather
wants to
limited right
splurge
now.
on these.
Well,
This
no,
is
I
true.
wouldn't mind making it. I mean, if I could do a good job, I would. Yeah, but you got to check your skills too and make sure you're going to be able to do it right.
You can do it, Anita.
Oh, okay.
So I think for my look, I can probably get away with a lot of things and not splurge on them as far as decorative items. But I think you can't really skimp on the foundational things in your house. And one of the foundational things in your house that is most like decor is molding, decorative molding.
Yes.
The bead boards, wainscoting, and in fact, it's coming to mind now. One of our listeners wrote in or called in and wanted to know about using the beadboard sheets as opposed to the individual boards. I'm always going to say individual boards, chunky
Me too.
molding,
Me
and
too.
if that's beyond your DIY abilities, then use some of that quote unquote splurge money to hire a finished carpenter who knows how to miter corners beautifully and get it done right. And whether you have a new build or an old house that needs some extra pow in the moldings, you will not regret spending the money that way, because it's just adding to the structure of your house.
Yes.
You probably get it back when you were selling the house. I mean, nobody's going to say, I want to pay more because of that molding. But it all goes into the look of the home and makes it look rich.
It looks more custom.
Custom, exactly. So,
Well, and I agree with that so much, Kelly. And I've noticed looking at, our old house versus this one. I mean, our old house was kind of, a traditional suburban house built in the 70s. And it had crown molding, and it had, it had some nice moldings. But I moved into a custom built house that's in a craftsman style, and it was built to look like it was 100 years old. It's just a night and day difference. I mean, if you look at an empty room, that's the amazing thing. And I don't really want to tell my secret here, but I feel like some days, like I could throw
friends.
I feel like I could put a potato sack on my bed and it would look great because of the molding.
Yeah, no,
It makes a huge difference.
It's fantastic what can happen. It it adds to the ambiance, way beyond what you would pay for it. I mean, molding is not that expensive. You can get
And
all
if you do
different
it yourself,
sorts.
you can save a lot of money if you've got a miter saw.
Oh yeah,
and Bobby does
and you know
all
how to
of
use it.
ours. Yep.
Wow.
Bobby.
Well,
You've got that secret weapon.
The
of Bobby.
kitchen, the kitchen and family room we had professionally done, and but he's done quite a few rooms, and
so if
we've
it's crown
added to our
molding-
molding.
Yeah, crown molding, base molding. You can add a chair rail. You can add, whether you want to call it beadboard or wainscoting, you can add sort of wooden panels. There are so many places to get these sorts of things now that, someone doesn't have to route it all out and create it. We had to do a little bit of that here because we were trying to preserve what we could of the old. And so when we expanded a room, or some of the molding had to be replaced, then we had to copy it exactly so I could keep some of the old. But if you're just starting fresh, you can buy that sort of nice molding even at Home Depot, and there's something called
Lowe's, any place.
MDF.
Right.
And MDF is a composite type of wood, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
already
You can, once it's painted, you can't tell.
right. And if you can't stain it because it's already primed
And
white. But
when
if
you're
you're
doing
going
these
paint
moldings,
grade, that saves a lot of money.
Go with those big baseboards, too. That really makes such a huge
I love
difference.
those. Yes.
Yeah.
And we after we moved in, and they did, like I said, the crown molding in our family room, breakfast room, and kitchen, we added to it. We just thought it could be a little heavier, and we just added right to it. It looks great.
Yeah, you just
yeah.
add
So
another profile line.
Yeah, if you have skimpy crown molding, add to it.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
make it something that's really a statement.
So, Yvonne, besides a sofa, what's something you would invest in Splurge in?
I'm going to really change this up, and this is something a little extra, like a little fun thing. And I'm going to say invest in really well-made and beautiful faux flowers and plants.
Oh,
I am not.
I didn't see that coming.
I know.
Oh!
I'm not one for saying, oh, you don't use fake. I'm one for saying, if you can't see it close up and can't tell it's a fake, go ahead.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that I agree. I mean, I don't really care for the faux so much, but again, if you can't tell, then so what?
But I think you're absolutely right. That's something you can't say, oh, maybe I can get it for $25. No, you probably have to get that plant for like $150. And that might feel like a splurge for a plant, but if it's a large size plant, it's going to make a big statement in your room. And hey, if you went and bought a real plant, which may have a very short lifespan,
In my house,
you're going to spend at least $60-$70 on a big tree anyway.
But even blooms, go to a really great decor shop in your town or a design place in your town, and they're expensive, but they are gorgeous. And over the years, it'll pay for itself.
Well, and then if you're going to do it, I would say something that looks like a live plant rather than a bouquet of something.
Well, I would do individuals, and then I don't show the stems. I put maybe moss in the bottom if it's a clear vase, or moss balls or willow balls in the bottom, so it doesn't show those telltale.
But I
fake
agree with
stems.
you so much. If the expensive version is very, very different from the inexpensive, then you really need to think about
They usually are.
and with silk flowers, that is very much the case. The expensive ones are so much better quality. But some things you can't tell, and that's why we did that episode on don't splurge on these things. But some things, when it really makes a difference, I think you need to think about that investment.
We don't have like you have the flower mart where you live, Kelly. We don't have that. And so sometimes our access to flowers are what we find in our grocery store.
Yeah.
Obviously, during the end of spring, summer, and fall, because of where we live, we have an abundance of flowers. But other than that, there's like a dry spell that we don't have anything. And purchasing some really gorgeous, and I mean gorgeous fakes, is the way to go. And Anita, your trick and mine, when my orchids stop blooming, I have very good fake orchid blooms that I put right in with my green leaves, my real green leaves. So no one can tell.
Where do you find yours?
Again, a small local shop called Festoons.
Oh, okay.
Give that a little shout out.
Okay.
Or the Old Millhouse shop. So if you live in Lancaster County, those are two great places to find really good faux.
Go ahead, clean out your closet, then head straight to Quince. I love every item Quince offers, from wardrobe to decor, and I can really recommend their Ultra Stretch Super Wide Leg Pant at $49.90. The price is unbeatable, and the look is so flattering. It keeps you in on top and flares out of the bottom. Everything feels right with Quince. The price, the quality, and the sustainability. Quince offers a range of luxury wardrobe and home goods at prices within reach. And like Quince's clothing, their home goods are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. Once you've cleaned out your closet and refreshed with Quince, you can also add something to your home decor. So give your wardrobe and your home the refresh it needs with Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. And let me know how you love those pants. Inevitably, with the new year come wellness goals. One very effective and easy-to-reach goal is to add Dose to your wellness regime. Dose is expertly formulated organic wellness shots that support your liver in one delicious drink. Formulated with ingredients clinically shown to support liver health: potent turmeric, milk thistle, and ginger. There's 0 sugar and 0 calories. Did you know that your liver performs over 500 special functions? Since I learned all that my liver is doing, I started with Dose to support all those vital functions. I take a shot of refreshing Dose 2 times per week to combat everyday toxins from food, meds, alcohol, and unhealthy air. Since starting with Dose about a month ago, I am definitely feeling an overall improvement in my health. So if you want to give Dose a shot and invest in your health like I have, Dose is offering DTT listeners 15% off your first order, plus an additional 15% off if you subscribe for a monthly delivery. That's 30% off your first order. So go to dosedaily.co/DTT and use the code DTT. That's dosedaily.co.co/DTT and use the code DTT.
Okay, I guess, Anita, are you next?
Yes. So my third thing, and I'm going to say splurge on this just because I don't see them inexpensive. Usually they're just a little more expensive, and that is some beautiful linen pillows for the beds or for the sofa, for occasional chairs. I love pillows made from linen, and usually they tend to be more expensive than the other pillows, and of course down filled because they're so comfy.
Always down.
Yeah, I know.
For indoors.
Right.
Anita,
when I use them outside, I just bring them in.
Can you put your sources on our show notes?
Yeah,
great.
sure.
Thank you.
Well, my
Kelly?
third,
Yeah.
it's again something that will live with you for years.
She's being so practical today.
I know. I don't really think of myself as a practical person, but
do you have a fever or something?
but I've been told that I'm more. I don't fancy myself being that practical, but I think that maybe I am. I don't know.
We did a little, I must confess, we did a little tiny talking before, and we're just throwing out ideas. And I loved Kelly's one idea. Kelly, can you tell them what it was? That we said, no, that's not decorating.
Yeah. Your gutters.
She was going to say gutters. And we're going, no, you can't say gutters. That's not decorative. But you're right, Kelly. But go on. So you are very practical today.
Well, you can make your gutters can be beautiful. They don't have to be the unattractive gutters.
Yeah, we need to do one on exterior finishes.
Yeah, we'll do an exterior chat. But
she was talking about, was it copper ones?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
copper
those are.
Ones. But there's also ones that are not copper, but the material is different. But you can still get them with those beautiful rain catchers. I'm just.
I think we did talk about them.
We'll talk about that another day when we do outside. But for inside, it doesn't. When I think of antique, I think of course, the ones that I would be drawn to. But any sort of piece with history, and as you all know from my blog or from the podcast. I'm all about finding stuff and, dragging it home from a Girl Scout yard sale or some other place. But sometimes, there's just a piece that just beyond compare, that it's a one in a lifetime. If you come across that piece, go for it. Even if you have to have nothing else in the room for a while, that piece will make a statement. And if you love it so much, it will make you happy for years to come, no matter where you live, and you'll make it work. So, whether it's a dining room table would be a very practical thing to think. I would splurge, or I would pay a little bit more for that because it's so spectacular. The bones, the lines, the legs of the table are so great. Or maybe a break front, a piece that could work in different homes, because if you're going to spend a little bit for it and it's an antique, you're going to want to take it with you wherever you go. So maybe not something that's so particularized to the home you're in now, but a piece that has heft to it and that will really be a wow. And maybe a practical wow if it's a dining room table or something like that.
Or a swan soup tureen.
Ooh.
Oh, or the ever practical swan soup tureen.
Yes. That was probably my biggest splurge of my lifetime.
And chairs. The swan soup tureen comes up.
I saw a swan soup tureen in a little store in Alexandria, Virginia, and it stopped me in my tracks.
Oh, well, then you got to get it.
It was huge. Oh, no, I've had it for...
you haven't? Yay!
Yes. I've had it for 22 years.
I was going to send my mother-in-law to go get it for you.
And it's
she lives there.
It's like a full-size swan. It's huge.
Wow.
And it was all hand done. It was Italian. It was numbered. And my heart just skipped.
I think I've seen it.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah, gorgeous. Yes.
And I left without it. And I was so, that's all I can think about. And my sister called me and said, Yvonne, it just went on sale. Do you want it? And I was like, yes.
Wow.
And I have never regretted that decision, not one single second.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you both. That's
frivolous.
Those special
swan soup tureen.
Those special things that you splurged on, that you just thought, this is a once in a lifetime kind of thing. Have you regretted those things you bought, or are you just so glad you got them?
Never regretted it.
I have no regrets.
She lives her life fully with no regrets.
Are you saying you never have regrets ever? Or
yeah, and if I have them, I can't remember what they were.
Okay.
But my point is, I think if it's, I so agree with what Kelly is saying, and I was actually going to make the same point. So this is so spot on, that if it's something that just is speaking to you, that it's just really... sometimes there's maybe two dressers or two lamps or something, and one's just makes your heart sing, and the other one's more practical. Sometimes it's worth it to go ahead and get that thing. I mean, I love these architectural pieces from old churches. And I don't know if you can see that trend, but there's an old arch from a hand-carved, amazing. I spent a ton for it.
I've seen it.
But it's so unique. And I just put it on my stairs. I pulled it out of the room it was in and put it on my stairs so I can see it from the sofa now. But these sorts of things, I'm not going to be sorry I bought them. It's going to come with me wherever I am, and it makes the room so special. So I think, and I wouldn't, obviously, I don't always go for the most expensive thing, but there's a few things, I kind of like to have one of those wows in each room. So, and I'd rather, I would prefer to spend that money on that one wow piece and then skimp on some other minor piece in the room versus just kind of going practical on everything.
Listen to our other episode about what you don't have to splurge on.
And
I think
to
they're companion
accent
pieces.
chairs and things like that, even or rugs. You don't have to spend a lot on those. But that
but
one
the
piece
swan
that
soup
makes
tureen, you really should blow.
I think there's
the
these
budget.
special pieces that we're going to keep. You're going to have that swan soup tureen probably for the rest of your life.
And
this-
what you said, listen to Yvonne's voice when she talks about it. And what you said is, if it makes your heart sing, what better is that? And hey, you know what? At the end of the day, it'll be fine. Life will go on, even if you spend a couple $100 more on the soup tureen, if it makes you that happy.
And but you cannot splurge like this. We're not advocating splurging like this weekly.
No, on everything. No, but
Yes,
I have this
swan soup tureen per lifetime.
That's right. How many times do you come across a life-size swan soup tureen? That's when you splurge. So think, is it Yvonne's swan soup tureen? If it's if it's that level, or Anita's architecture piece from a church, then that's when you splurge.
Right.
But we also have
Ew, that means is it Kelly's gutters? That doesn't sound like something else.
Okay, Kel.
I need something else.
I have another one. And it's like you say, you would splurge on lamps. I would probably do the opposite, but that's my style. I love ginger jars and big, tall things that are easily
and those tend not to be
accessible.
expensive, so you don't need to splurge on those.
But I will splurge on the lampshade.
There's a good idea right there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I do that too. I do on occasion, I do find something really spectacular at the thrift store and then dress it up with a new lampshade.
Now, I'll be honest, you can get a lampshade for a couple $100s. I will not splurge like that. That to me is, that first of all, it's not in my budget, but a splurge to me is a $50, $60 lampshade.
Right.
And I will splurge on a lampshade because you can really tell the difference between a cheaply made lampshade and one that is beautifully made. And I think that so much, that's a big piece. If you have a nice size lamp, that lampshade's a big thing in your room.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're right. And that's one way to get around it. If you feel like, well, I can't splurge on a lamp, then just spend a little extra and get that great lampshade to put on it.
No, and I'm glad. I like how you put splurge in sort of put a number on it. Yeah, because splurge people might be thinking, I'm not spending $300 on a lampshade. Well,
Right.
Neither
No,
am
I wouldn't either.
No. And here's another. I think I did 3 already, but let me say one more.
That's okay.
Even if you found a piece of fabric that you loved, even just get a yard of it. You could,
yes.
You could cut the yard in half and make a runner, or just do the long way, or make 2 pillows. Just some real, some fabulous fabric that you would never spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get yards and yards of it and do curtains, which might be way too much anyway. Just a little pop of it.
Well, and here's my little secret. If you just buy a yard of something that's really gorgeous, put your duvet at the foot of the bed and just wrap that fabric around your duvet. No one's going to, and you could just take a yard.
Oh my goodness.
No one's going to know.
Very cool. I have to tell you, when we were looking for a sofa, and you look through all the different swatches, the fabric swatches, but I can't just look in the section of the color I'm looking at. I have got to look at all the fabrics and ooh and all. I love fabric.
Oh, me too.
I found this fabric that was, and they're pillows, and everybody asked me, where did you get them? A black background with these sort of white, cream, and caramel colored big sort of daisy flowers.
I've seen those.
Yes. You don't know how many times my readers right to me and said, "Where did you get that?" And I have to say, it was fabric at this furniture store, but I didn't know if I could get it anywhere else. And I ordered 4 yards, and it was crazy expensive.
Yes, that
But
is.
I would have paid that for those 2 pillows. That's how much use I get out of them.
Right,
Nice.
right.
And I,
So
you
that's
just, when
what's
you
a good
know it, you
splurge.
know it.
Green Chef is a delicious delight any time of year, but especially during the holidays. What a wonderful vision to behold as the Green Chef boxes on your doorstep. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. And it makes eating well so easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat a more balanced diet. So let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season. And if you've got guests coming, shop Green Bundles. They're now available at the Green Market. It's your one-stop shop for nutritious grab-and-go breakfast, including vegan options, brunch kits, wholesome lunches, ready-to-eat snacks, veggie sides, and more. You can feel your best this December and do your best with Green Chef because they offset 100% of the delivery emissions as well as 100% of the plastic in every box. Go to greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT and get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. Pesto pork chops over Parmesan polenta. Not that easy to say, but oh so easy to make with Green Chef. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit company for eating well, and we have such a great deal for you. You're going to save $250. Listen on for the details on that. Green Chef makes eating well easy for any lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat more balanced meals. You know, we're getting into the busy holiday season, so it's a perfect time to have Green Chef help you out. Let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season with their chef-crafted, nutritionist-approved recipes featuring fresh ingredients and nothing artificial. And you know what? You don't have to lose track of your healthy eating habits during the holidays. Every Green Chef customer gets a free session with their registered dietitians who will walk you through how to make clean eating work for you. So sign up for your free session and start on the road towards better health today. And that deal I want to tell you about, visit greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. So that's greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order.
And I'm thinking about covering a chair, like an accent chair, where the where you sit is the upholsterable. So I'm thinking about covering that in that fabric.
Oh, that'd
be great.
I'm still holding on to it. I had 2 pillows made, but I'm not quite sure. So even something like fabric, if you know it, sometimes you just have to do it. Can I just add one more before we go?
Sure, darling.
If you're going to buy a recliner, well, I mean,
My mom has to buy recliners with my dad all the time. Not that it's like a dad thing, but it seems like men like recliners.
Let's hear what she has to say.
All right.
because you know that I've had some surgeries and I needed to put my feet up. And I was so against buying a recliner. I mean, like, Bobby actually said we're going out for a field trip. And he's, I'm in this wheelchair. And so I thought, oh, I can get out. Oh, yay. And he took me to a store that has recliners.
That's kind of mean. Okay.
He really fooled me. And he said, you are going to pick a recliner out. I said, Bob, I will not put a recliner in this house. So we went. Oh, my gosh. It's like my favorite chair. If you're going to buy a recliner, you want to splurge on it because you want the mechanism to work really well. And you don't want it to look like a recliner.
Does yours have a cup holder?
No, and it's not pleather. It's actually a white and light taupe large herringbone. It's gorgeous.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Whoa.
That's
I
my
wanna see a picture.
recliner. Oh, you've seen it. You just
Have
don't
I?
know.
Oh my gosh, we didn't know we
Wow,
saw
okay.
it.
It
Okay,
doesn't-
I'm changing my mind.
You
You,
would-
and Brooke
you
Shields
would-
like recliners, I think.
You
right?
would think that, and actually that's the store I went to, and you would think that it's just a really beautiful chair, and it's a recliner. And
Nice. Well,
and
some of them really you can't tell.
They're
I
not
mean,
your
and the
grandpa's
fabric is
recliners
updated
anymore.
and beautiful. So if that's where you're headed, and I just thought I'd never have one, but because I needed to put my feet up, my husband said, "Let's do it," and it was not cheap. I'll just tell you that right now.
Yeah.
But it was like some people could have bought a sofa for it if you got it on sale.
Right.
But it was so worth it because everybody loves that chair.
Oh, yeah, probably they're fighting about it now. Yeah, so
They
it's really
are.
splurge
And
on
I'm so
putting your feet up.
happy. And I'm not ashamed to photograph it because it's so beautiful.
yeah, well, I call dibs on it for when we come visit.
Maybe
But
maybe we can get in together.
You probably could. It's a big chair. You're
Yeah.
both tiny.
Awesome. Okay, well, this has been such fun. We want to remind you that we were here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time.
Hey there. If you're loving our podcast like we're loving our podcast, we would love you to rate and review us. Head to iTunes to do that. It's easy and it would mean so much to us. And if you do rate and review us, we're going to enter you to win a fantastic giveaway. The details for the giveaway are in the show notes for this episode, and you can find the show notes at decoratingtipsandtricks.com.